Alright, I'm Steve Hodges and strap in, because today we're going all in into something that's absolutely mind-blowing. We're going to explore a breakthrough where AI and biology collide in ways that seem almost impossible. I'm talking about an AI that can simulate 500 million years of evolution in just a few months of processing time. And trust me, this isn't some far-off science fiction scenario. This is happening right now, and it's about to change everything we know about life itself. There's this press release that's been causing quite a stir in the scientific community. It's about a company called Evolutionary and their AI model called ESM3. Now, I won't bury the lead here. This AI can actually create completely new proteins from scratch, and when I say that, I need you to understand how significant this is. We're not talking about tweaking existing proteins or making minor modifications. We're talking about designing and building entirely new proteins that have never existed in nature. This is something that typically takes Mother Nature hundreds of millions, even billions of years to accomplish through evolution. And now, we can do it in months. That's the crazy part. We're not just analyzing proteins that already exist, we're actually designing and building them from scratch to meet specific functions and specifications. It's like having a fast-forward button for evolution itself. So let's talk about Evolutionary. Who are these people and what are they all about? They're an AI research lab that emerged on the scene in 2023, and they're not playing small ball. Their goal? Making biology programmable using AI. Now, I know that sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but here's the thing. These folks have serious credentials. They're the same team who developed ESM1 back at Meta, Facebook's parent company. That was either the first or one of the very early protein language models. Think of it like ChatGPT, but instead of understanding human language, it understands the language of proteins. And they've just secured a massive $142 million in funding. So, clearly some big players believe in what they're doing. Now, let's get into what makes ESM3 so special. This is where things get really interesting. Like other AI models, ESM3 is generative AI, similar to ChatGPT and others. It doesn't just analyze data, it creates something entirely new. But here's the mind-blowing part. It was trained on a dataset of 2.78 billion proteins. Billion with a B. To put that in perspective, imagine giving someone a library containing 2.78 billion books, all about proteins from every living thing we know about. From the tiniest bacteria to the largest whales, from mushrooms to giant redwood trees. That's the kind of knowledge we're talking about. It's essentially a protein encyclopedia on steroids. But what really sets ESM3 apart from other AI models studying proteins is its comprehensive approach. Most AI models that look at proteins focus on their sequence. Think of it like the order of letters in words. But ESM3 goes way beyond that. It looks at the protein sequence, its three-dimensional structure. Think of it like protein origami. And its function, what that protein actually does in a cell. It's like the difference between knowing the alphabet and understanding grammar, context, and meaning. ESM3 doesn't just know the letters, it understands the whole story. And this deep understanding is what gives it the ability to design new proteins from scratch. Let me give you a concrete example of what this means in practice. Evolutionary made headlines with what they call the GFP breakthrough. GFP stands for green fluorescent protein. It's the stuff that makes jellyfish glow in the dark. Scientists have been using this natural protein as a kind of tiny flashlight to study cells for years. But here's where things get wild. ESM3 created a completely new version of GFP, one that's entirely different from anything found in nature. Think about that for a second. Out of the hundreds of millions of years of evolution, all the various different proteins that evolved naturally, this one never appeared. ESM3 designed something that would have taken nature maybe 500 million years to develop, if it ever did at all. The way they did it is fascinating. They essentially had a conversation with ESM3, like you might with ChatGPT, but about protein design. They asked it to produce potential proteins that might glow. The model suggested hundreds of possibilities, and they tested the most promising ones in a real lab. When they found some that showed potential, they went back to ESM3 and said, "You're on the right track. Give us more like this." Through this iterative process, they eventually discovered a completely new, brightly glowing protein with a structure that's rarely seen in nature. It's like they fast-forwarded evolution and discovered something that might never have evolved naturally. Now, this isn't just cool science. This has serious, real-world applications that could impact all of our lives. Let's break down a few key areas. First, Drug discovery. Imagine designing proteins that can target specific diseases with incredible precision. Instead of the broad-spectrum approaches we often use today, which can feel like hitting a mosquito with a sledgehammer, we could create treatments that are laser-focused on the problem. Second, personalized medicine. Take something like the MTHFR gene mutation, which affects how people process certain vitamins. With ESM3, we could potentially design personalized treatments that account for your specific genetic makeup. It's like having a medical team that knows everything about your unique biology. Third, material science. We could design proteins with specific properties, incredible strength, flexibility, or conductivity. Imagine creating new materials for everything from sustainable packaging to advanced electronics, all biodegradable and environmentally friendly. Speaking of the environment, let's talk about climate change. One of the most exciting possibilities is designing proteins that can capture carbon dioxide with unprecedented efficiency. Think about it. Molecular sponges that could help clean our atmosphere, or proteins that could break down pollutants and plastics more effectively than anything we have today. Here's another exciting aspect. Evolutionary Scale is committed to making this technology accessible. They've released an open-source version for researchers, they're running a beta API for specific applications, and they're partnering with major players like AWS and NVIDIA to make this technology widely available. This means we're just seeing the beginning. ESM3 is like the Model T of protein engineering. Impressive for its time, but just the start. We can expect to see rapid developments as more researchers and developers get their hands on this technology. But before we get too carried away, we need to address the elephant in the room, the potential risks and challenges. When you're essentially programming the building blocks of life, you need to proceed with extreme caution. There are several concerns we need to consider. First, unintended consequences. Biological systems are incredibly complex and changes can have ripple effects we might not predict. Second, the potential for misuse, including the creation of biological weapons. Personally, I'm not too worried about rogue AI, I'm more concerned about rogue humans with access to these powerful tools. So where does this leave us? We're standing at a crossroads that could lead us either toward incredible advances in human health and environmental protection, or toward unprecedented dangers if misused. It's like we've discovered fire, an incredibly powerful tool that can either warm our homes or burn them down. The reality is, we're entering an era where the line between science fiction and reality is increasingly blurry. We're gaining the ability to program life itself, and that comes with enormous responsibility. What do you think about this technology? Are we moving too fast or not fast enough? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to stay updated on these incredible developments in AI and biology, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Remember, we're not just witnesses to this revolution, we're all participants in shaping how this technology will be used. Until next time, this is Steve Hodges. Keep questioning, keep learning, and keep thinking about the future we want to create.